I'm Rachel with Ray, and today we're going to go over just some basic donkey grooming for when you're getting ready to go out in public. And that's kind of anything. You want to make the best impression because donkeys are worthy of putting on the best impression just like your nicest show horse. So we're going to go over some real basics just to make her look a little better. In our grooming kit, this is a really basic one. This is just kind of my everyday average. Leave it around the backyard out of reach of horses and donkeys, because you can see they'll grab it at any point. But standard items. We have a little bit of a scraper. This shedding tool's got a finer tooth and a more coarse tooth. This is really good for knocking mud off. For horses, this would be a mane brush. For donkeys, mane brush, but also tail brush. I also find that they really like this for shedding. Great for getting mud off too. My donkeys prefer this for getting mud off as opposed to a scraper or a shedder. I have a couple of hard bristle brushes. This is also really good for getting the top coat of dirt off. Again, knocking off any mud. Just two different stiffnesses for what I need. Of course, we have a hoof pick because we're going to be cleaning their feet. We want to make sure that there's nothing in there before we head out. And I do have a softer finishing brush that kind of gets that nice little polish, especially if I was going to be adding show sheen. If I was going to a local show, I might want her to look a little bit shinier. All right, so we've got some basic tools to get some of this mud off. As you can see, she's pretty dirty. We had some rain recently, so she's got some nice clumps of mud, and I just don't want her to go out like this, whether it's a walk, whether we're at a show, especially at a show, or visiting people. We kind of want to put on the best impression. Now, her hair coat, it's kind of winter coat. We're getting into summer soon, so she might start having some shed, but donkeys in Arizona don't typically shed until about June or July for those really late ones. Depending on the time of year and depending on your donkey will depend on your grooming tools. Like I said, mine don't prefer this one. They'll tolerate it for some of these bigger clumps of mud, but I'll end up switching to this little brush. And this is kind of cool because this one just separates. I got this specifically at Chick Saddlery. Not that it's an ad plug, but that's where I get these. They'll prefer this one, but I'm just gonna start and I just kind of want to get some of this mud off. I've been kind of touching her to let her know I'm here the whole time. She's pretty relaxed, but just kind of go through, going with the direction of the fur. I'm just going to scrape some of that mud off. It's still a little wet, so it's not coming off as nicely as I want. I've got a clean rag kind of in my back pocket here. Later, I'll take that after wiping her face, and I might kind of polish that off a little bit. I'm going to go through, just scrape. You can see she's not reacting horrible to this, but it's not her favorite. And because it's not her favorite, like I said, I'll switch brushes. All right, so now that I have knocked off most of the mud with those harder, the metal scraper and then that plastic brush that she kind of prefers, I just kind of went over her whole body, especially with that plastic comb, just to make sure everything was, you know, knot free, tangle free. I ran it through her mane really quick. You can see it looks a little softer. Now I'm going to take one of these stiff body brushes and I'm going to knock off the top layer. You can see she's got, you know, little pieces of grass and straw on her. I'm going to try to smooth this out. This is going to stay stained ultimately, simply because she would need a bath to get it not stained, or a green spot remover, which those are things you can use if your donkey's not used to them. It's not what we're going over today. We're just kind of going over the basics just to make them presentable. I like to start at the head, work the way back. Again, with these brushes, you're going to go in the direction of the fur. There are curry combs as well that you can kind of go in those circular motions, but with these stiff brushes, we're going to work in the direction of the fur. And as I brush, I'm going to flick so that I flick the dirt off and away from their body. And I'm going to work my way from top to bottom. And then I'll go back over at the end a little bit more focused on her legs. I just kind of get that top layer on their legs to start. You can already see all of the stuff flying off of her. This is going to take a few minutes, so I'm going to finish this and then we'll jump back in for some of the final stuff.